Yes, good morning, children. Today we are going to study about another experiment of chemistry, that is experiment number 4. Aim of the experiment is to observe the action of zinc, Fe, copper, aluminium metals on the following salts solutions like zinc sulfate and iron sulfate, copper sulfate and aluminium sulfate. So whatever the things that we have in the lab, we can perform with that experiment. Okay, already you know the what we call it as reactivity series. Okay, order of reactivity series in theory, that we already know that among these metals like zinc, Fe, copper and aluminium, so we know the order of reactivity, that aluminium is more reactive than zinc, than iron, than copper. So we know that the highest reactive element in this series is aluminium, the least one is copper. Already you know that. Okay, so how this experiment can be performed in the laboratory? So it can be performed like this: take 4 test tubes and mark them as A, B, C, D. Okay, pour about 25 ml of aqueous solution of zinc sulfate in test tube A, and ferrous sulfate in test tube B, copper sulfate in test tube C, and aluminium sulfate in test tube D. So clean the metal strips with the sandpaper to remove the any oxides. What we are going to do? We are going to remove the unwanted deposition or oxides over the metal. Every times we are supposed to remove the unwanted things, especially for even when you are handling with a magnesium ribbon, you are going to rub it with a sandpaper to remove unwanted oxide deposited over the metal. So then only you are going to get a result, otherwise it becomes late. That is why we are supposed to remove the clean the metal surfaces whenever doing the experiment. Dip pure aluminium strip in all the test tubes for about half an hour. Observe the deposition of metals on the strip. Already I did that one with the what we call it as few solutions like iron sulfate, copper sulfate and FeSO4. Repeat the experiment with the different metals and record the observation in the tabular. So in the tabular column, it is very easily you can notice that when you use iron in iron sulfate, no reaction. You will not see any reaction because the same metal are there, Fe. Okay, when you use iron with zinc sulfate solution, if you use with iron metal, no reaction. You cannot see again no reaction, because so you cannot observe any reaction in this. When you use iron with copper sulfate, you can see displacement reaction. You may ask the question, why sir? Because iron is more reactive than copper, hence iron can displace copper and forms iron sulfate, and copper can be displaced. That is why displacement reaction is necessary. Okay, next, Fe aluminium sulfate. Here also you cannot observe any reaction, because aluminium is very reactive than iron cannot displace aluminium, hence no reaction. Iron can displace copper, but it cannot displace zinc and aluminium, because zinc is powerful than iron. Aluminium and zinc comes in the first, then iron, then copper. Adake it cannot displace. Zinc, if you take zinc metal and iron sulfate, it can displace, because in the series zinc is powerful than iron, so it can show displacement reaction. Zinc sulfate with zinc, no reaction, because same metal. Zinc with copper, yes, displacement, because it is the least reactive. Copper is least reactive, hence it can displace. With aluminium, it cannot show any, because aluminium is a most reactive element, okay, in this series. Then copper, if you take iron sulfate, no reaction, because copper is least reactive. Copper with zinc sulfate, no reaction, because copper is least reactive. Copper with copper sulfate, no reaction, because same metal are there. Copper with aluminium also no reaction, because already you know that copper is a very least reactive metal in the series. Then aluminium, if you take aluminium ferrous sulfate, you can see displacement. See here I have kept what we call it as test tubes for observation for half an hour. Aluminium with copper sulfate solution. you can see displacement reaction. Aluminum with ferrous sulfate solution, with aluminum with ferrous sulfate you can see displacement reaction. Copper with FeSO4, no reaction. Copper metal is there and I have kept it in the ferrous sulfate because no reaction, because copper is least reactive. Like this we can perform the experiment with zinc sulfate also, with copper sulfate also. You can see displacement reaction, displacement reaction, displacement reaction with aluminum. Aluminum can react with FeSO4, aluminum can react with ZnSO4, aluminum can react with copper sulfate. Like this you can see what we call it as displacement over there. Aluminum cannot displace, no reaction with the aluminum sulfate because both elements are same, both are equally strong. That is why you can say that no reaction is observed. So it is concluded from this experiment that the aluminum metal is most reactive metal which can displace other metals from their salt solutions, whereas copper is the least reactive metal which displaces no metal. On the basis of experimental observation, the metals are arranged in the order of decreasing reactivity series. So you can see the series: aluminum, okay, most reactive; zinc, then iron, then copper. Most reactive is aluminum, least reactive is copper. So these are the things which you are supposed to be remembered while doing this experiment. Okay, this is a simple experiment which shows metal and their properties. Okay, what are the precautions to be taken during this experiment? Precautions: first one, hands should be washed properly after the experiment as the salts may be poisonous. Yes, especially, okay, ferrous sulfate and all are very dangerous. After handling these chemicals, we should wash our hands properly, because if you consume, okay, what happens? It causes damage. That is why we should wash hands properly with a proper detergent or proper what we call it a hand wash. Next, freshly prepared solution should be used for the reaction. So it is very difficult. Ferrous sulfate and all and copper sulfate we use, if you use freshly prepared, you will get a result. So it takes half an hour to 1 hour to displace completely. Not in 1 or 2 minutes or 10 minutes you will not get result. It takes time, because already you studied displacement reaction, that is Fe and copper sulfate. Okay, when you keep iron nail into the copper sulfate solution, iron can displace copper from the copper sulfate solution, and you can see color change. The color of copper sulfate, which is blue, will not be there as it is. That is what we call it as you are going to get a displacement reaction. So these are the very important type of reactions, that is the metal and their properties. Thank you.